Okay, so now we've got some totals in our spreadsheet and we've got some simple formatting completed. Let's take a look. I'm going to bring up the finished product that we're hoping to create here today. And everything looks pretty good. We need to do a little more formatting using like our some of our symbols and so on. We are missing a total here, so we need to go back and do that. And then the next step we're going to take in this video is we are going to go in and we're going to create a chart. So I'm going to go back to our spreadsheet and we're going to go in here. We're going to do an auto sum. So one thing, again, going back to my discussion on auto sums, you have to make sure, do you want to add it this way vertically or do you want to add it horizontally? That's important to kind of make note. All right, so I'm going to say enter. And now we are going to start to create our charts. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at that chart because we need to ask ourselves what is in this chart and what kind of chart are we looking at? Okay, so we're looking, this is called a column chart. That's what we're using. All right. We have our nations, they're on the X. All right, they're on the X axis. All right, we have our dollar amounts on the Y axis and it's total expenses by nation. So if we go up and take a look here, we are taking our nations and we are taking our totals. Now, I'll tell you a big mistake that people often make when they're charting is they try to chart everything. They try to take everything into the chart, and that simply won't work. All right, so let's go back to Excel and let's start to create our chart. So we have our nations. Now I want to go over and I want to select on the total. One thing, I can't do that if I don't use the control. So I need to go with the control. So I have the control selected. And now I'm going to select the totals. Okay, so I'm very careful. Notice we have our totals row, but we don't need that for this chart, okay? And in fact, that would really throw the chart, okay? Because then we would have one column that would be really high up above everything else. So we're going to keep it to the nations. We're going to keep it to the totals. I'm going to go to insert. And then I'm going to go to charts. So I'm going to just start by going to recommended charts because this is something that might be quite valuable for you to use just because if you're not familiar with charting, if you haven't done a lot of it, then you might kind of go, all right, I don't know where to begin. All right, so looking at the recommended chart. So here is a column chart. This is a pie chart, and this is a bar chart. I'm going to go now to all charts, okay? And I want to go to column. That's what comes up automatically, except for the column chart that we have chosen was a 3D column chart. So I'm going to go up here. Here's a stacked, stacked again. This is the 3D clustered column, and that is what we want, okay? That's what it looks like. So I'm going to say, okay. All right, now notice it just kind of threw the chart kind of in the center of our spreadsheet. So I'm going to move that just below, okay? And then I'm also going to enlarge that. I'm going to drag on those handles and I'm going to make it a little larger. Okay, so that is what, I'm just going to come down here so we can take a look. That is what we are looking for our chart. I'm going to go back. Well, let's take a look at what we've used for our chart title is total expenses by nation. Okay, but everything else, I think we are on the right track. We have our column chart, 3D clustered column chart. Okay, so I think we are on the right track. So let's go back here and let's go to up to the chart title and let's fix that up. So total expenses by nation. Okay, so now we have our chart created and we can see that this is the corresponding data. So I'm just going to click away. This is that we chose our nations, we chose our totals, okay? And then down here on the x-axis, we have the nations. On the y, we have the dollar amounts. Okay, so this is a fairly straightforward chart, nothing too complicated here. But let's say we want to kind of make some changes. So every time I select it, you'll notice up here, it reselected the data that went into the chart. So again, like if I wanted to change some of the data, I could change it and the chart would automatically update. Let's say I want to go in and look at some of the chart elements to make some formatting. I could click on the plus and now I can see some areas that I can change or customize depending on what it is that I want to achieve. Okay? All right, so I'm going to kind of click away on that. And now we're starting to close in on what we want for our finished product.